What's up guys, Thomas Alex Norman here. In this video, we're gonna be talking about a camera that I've been using for the last 6-7 months that I've been really enjoying quite a lot more than my Sony a7S II, which is what I'm filming this on now, and what I've been using for the last 3 or 4 years. We're gonna be getting into why I made this switch recently, in what situations I would make this switch, because I don't use this 100% of the time, and also what are the features and more specifically what are the benefits I get from those features in using this new camera. You guys have shown quite a lot of interest in the new camera ever since I've been using it to show you guys my B-roll demonstrations and making those videos in beaches, in forests, in the city, always having this little camera filming all of the stuff, and you're very curious as to which camera it is and why I'm using it. So what we're gonna do is give you a breakdown of the camera, as I said, why I use it, and also some of the stuff that I really like. Here it is, the Sony RX100, and I'm using the Mark V at the moment. This actually feels quite weird talking about gear and technical stuff, because I don't think I've almost ever done this on this channel. So welcome to this, by the way, guys. A quick introduction to this little beast. The footage looks very similar to my Sony a7S II. It's quite mad. If we get into the nitty-gritty of it, I'm sure if you zoomed in on the pixels, it wouldn't look as good. I do admit the color grading isn't quite as flexible, hasn't got the same high dynamic range, but to be honest, when I just film, especially in 4K, I film footage in 4K with this, and I just put it on my editing program, I just look at it like, this looks just as good as my other camera. This is mental. It also does 120 frames per second in Full HD 1080 and 60 frames per second in 1080 as well, or 50, whatever you want to use. And it has a 24-70 lens that is pretty versatile, and it's basically all I need. It has flip screen, which is nice for vlogging. It has incredible autofocus, much better than the Sony a7S II. So a lot of the, actually what I've started to do, which feels weird, is put this on autofocus and start getting B-roll like that. Because sometimes knowing exactly where the focus is on this is quite difficult. So sometimes if I'm in doubt, I will just put it on auto, and 90% of the time, you won't have any of those jumping in and out, and it will just look good, even in slow-mo and everything. Mate, this is a built-in ND filter. Really? Mental. The real amazing thing about this is that it has an inbuilt ND filter. And that's the reason why I didn't get the 6 or the 7, because for some reason Sony took out that inbuilt ND filter on those cameras. For those of you who don't know what an ND filter is, it is a filter that basically makes the image darker, and it will just come across inside the lens somewhere. And what that means is if it makes the image a lot darker, it means you can crank your aperture down to widen your aperture, which means you'll let enough light in so it will kind of compensate. And what that means is that if you go out on bright days, a lot of the time with these kinds of cameras without ND filters, everything will be in a very high aperture, and it will look like everything's in focus, and it won't look cinematic. You won't be able to get this depth of field look. But what this means is that on a bright day, I can go out, have my shutter speed on the correct amount, for filmmaking, for cinematic filmmaking, which will be double my frames per second. And then I can put my aperture down pretty much as low as I want with the ND filter on, and I'll be able to get amazing cinematic looking footage. That's pretty crazy with this. And my Sony a7S II doesn't even have a built-in ND filter. So the fact that this does, it's almost like even better in a way. And that was really the deal breaker for me. I always kind of avoided these cameras because I knew I wouldn't be able to do that, or I'd have some weird like fake filter on the end. But the fact that this does was like, I was like, I'm getting that. And I'm really happy I did. The reason why I'm using this now, and let's get onto that. The reason why I made this switch is basically because it fits in your pocket. It's the size of a chunky smartphone, and it very easily fits in your pocket. And what that basically means is that you can take it with you anywhere. You don't need to have a specific bag or camera bag. And this is the only bit of kit you'll bring with you. And yes, there are limitations, but for me, it's worth it. When will I use this? I'll use this 80–90% of the time when I am wanting to capture small trips. I'm wanting to capture just memories, good times with friends, scenery, anything that maybe somebody would do on their phone, I would do with this. And I would get amazing 4K quality Sony flat footage that I can then edit and turn into an awesome video.
We call it the Mexican shower.
Mexican shower?
Yeah, you basically just jump in the fucking pool and that's your shower.
It's much more discreet than my other camera as well, so filming people, just kind of getting shots here, filming friends, family, it's not kind of like pointing this kind of big lens in their face, it's almost kind of like you're just recording something on your phone. I found that's really, really cool, and people are comfortable with it.
I mean, these cameras... Yeah, that's so cool. So far, my birthday has consisted of cleaning a floor, chucking champagne all over myself, receiving an incredibly embarrassing photograph of myself, and carving.
Carving about 3.
Couldn't wish for a birthday in any other way.
And being constantly reminded that you're 60.
And I don't need reminding. I'm not at a stage yet where I don't know my own age.
It feels so weird to be making a film with no backpack. It's just kind of, you're just walking up the hill and you have this. So, as the experts say, storytelling is king, and this definitely is in that kind of category. It goes along with that train of thought, because it allows you into so many situations that you wouldn't be able to get into with a bigger camera. And because you can always take it with you, you're always going to be getting more of the story, whatever that story is, and pushing that over the slight upgrade in the quality of visuals that you could get with the Sony a7S II. The times when I wouldn't use this is when I'm going out on a filmmaking trip, and I'm going, for example, like I did to Uganda, when I was going there for 2 weeks just to film. Or Romania, when I was working with a company out there and filming a video for my own channel and their channel, but I had a specific kind of project in mind. When I want to do those filmmaking projects, I'll always use the best gear I can. And that would be, right now, the Sony a7S II. With all my lenses, with all the sound inputs and options I have on that, it will obviously boost up the production value and quality a lot. So that's it for this one, guys. The link to this is in the description below, if you want to grab it on Amazon or whatever. And also my list of gear is in the link in the description below. That PDF, which has a lot of awesome information about beginners packs of gear that you can get, all the way to advanced kind of packs of gear that you can get to kind of have your filmmaking setup. And also I'll be following that up with some interesting and useful tips and tricks going straight into your inbox. Until the next time, guys, keep filming. Bye-bye.
I think there are too many external influences in this world that are out to distract us. Sometimes it is as simple as going out there, picking up a camera and thinking, why do I have this camera in my hand? And then you look around and then you realise that what you're looking at is actually quite nice, it's quite beautiful, it's quite special, serene. And then you realise the tool that is in your hand gives you the ability to be able to not only relive that moment again for yourself, but to share that energy and that feeling that you felt in that moment when you looked up on your own with others. That is the beauty of all of this. Got a couple of fat burgers.
Mate,
burgers are looking nice, mate.
My RX 100 is well overexposed.
You got a couple of zebras popping up on there, Thomas.